The dance between the two powerful planets of Pluto and Saturn can affect us collectively, since these are slow-moving planets and their interactions have led to significant events historically. World War I began just as Saturn was in conjunction with Pluto in 1914, and the Cold War began when they were in conjunction again in 1947. The cycle between the Pluto and Saturn conjunction could take between 33 to 38 years due to Pluto's eccentric orbit, and the last time they were in powerful opposition was during the 9/11 tragedy in 2001. This brought up a lot from the underworld of Pluto for processing, particularly regarding the government and our systems of Saturn. They came into exact opposition in August during the potent dog days of summer in 2001, and there were significant conjunctions with other planets at that time, which would have brought up uncomfortable tensions, shadows, and issues that needed resolving, and unfortunately were not. This all led up to the crisis on the 11th of September, when the Sun in Virgo got caught in the battle between opposing Pluto and Saturn in an uncomfortable T-square. A further clue could be seen with the astrology of the ringleader Atta, who flew the first plane into the North Tower of the World Trade Center at 8:46 a.m. Atta was born in September 1968, just 1 month after construction first began on the two towers in August 1968. Therefore, both Atta and the two towers lived for 33 years. Atta was also a Virgo, and 33 is the average duration of the Pluto and Saturn cycle. They had previously been in opposition in 1965 and 1966, with Pluto in Virgo and Saturn in Pisces. By September 1968, when Atta was born and the two towers were first being constructed, Saturn was in an uncomfortable yod, or finger of God, with Pluto in Virgo and Neptune in Scorpio, the sign of death, transformation and rebirth. Yods can indicate challenging, fated events with soul lessons involved. 33 is also a significant number. It was the age in which Yeshua died. It is the number of bones in the spine, and it is also the degree of the Master Mason in Freemasonry. What was learnt from this terrible event? How do people learn and grow? Pluto and Saturn came into conjunction in November 1982, the year of the Falklands War, and again came into conjunction recently on the 12th of January 2020, when the pandemic began in the Chinese Year of the Pig, with the Year of the Rat beginning on the 25th of January. Pluto and Saturn were in a powerful conjunction with the Sun in Capricorn, which would have drawn a light on the shadow aspects of Capricorn in particular. Interestingly, the word pandemic comes from the Greek word pan for all and demos meaning people. The horned god of the wild, the faun Pan, has often been equated with the devil, and in tarot, the devil card is associated with the goat sign of Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. Here we can see the inverted or misused Saturn energy, which can become satanic. Pan is also a name of Saturn's innermost moon, and is considered a shepherd moon, meaning it keeps the gap clear of particles. Again, this pandemic event brought up a lot for processing and reflection regarding corruption in our government and systems. Capricorn is related to themes of the father, government, systems and work. It is ambitious. The goat can climb any mountain, but its goals need to be in alignment with the heart. Capricorn's ruler Saturn can bring healthy discipline, boundaries, commitment, responsibility and structure, which can aid us to grow. When Capricorn, Saturn or Pan energy is healthy, it can bring us fatherly empowerment, boundaries, structure and good systems. The shadow of Saturn can include controlling behaviour and overbearing limitations or restrictions, and the word Saturnine can mean seriousness, sadness, coldness, gloominess or depression. Pluto is lord of the underworld, who deals with issues such as death, transformation, soul lessons, mysteries, the occult and rebirth. whereas the shadow of Pluto can include abuse of power, fear, or obsession, and Pluto's tests can include giving our power away to individuals or organisations instead of connecting with the authority of our soul. It's interesting that the virus of the pandemic was a coronavirus. Corona means crown, and the crown chakra is the seat of our sovereignty and connection with our soul, with God. Was the pandemic a sign of disconnection collectively? And what did we need to see and learn? Coronaviruses constantly mutate, which is difficult in terms of vaccines, yet one of the most dominant variants was named as Omicron. This word means the 15th letter in the Greek alphabet, and 15 is a number often associated with Saturn. Misinformation circulated from every direction, including disinformation from controlled opposition, which intended to discredit any truth movements, as well as from unbalanced spiritual channels. One lady died from colloidal silver poisoning, which she'd been promoting to take as a preventative. It became necessary to check everything. Trust was eroded, lies were told. People made decisions by listening to others and losing the quiet connection with the crown of their own soul and intuition. Yet many individuals did not comply, and over the years irrefutable evidence and research has now been gathered, which questions the narratives which were presented. Inquiries need to be organised so that we have more clarity, justice, and can learn from the mistakes of the past. We all carry our own biases, experiences, and filters which influence how we perceive the events, yet the major themes were evident, and how they played out individually was different for each of us. Our systems and governments were full of conflict of interest, particularly financial, regarding issues of health, and certain pharmaceutical companies made billions in profits from products and shares. Many people didn't receive informed consent regarding the medication they took, which is a requirement of UK law, Montgomery law, which means people need to be informed of the risks or alternatives. The thoughts and emotions of people were highly manipulated by governments, propaganda, corporations, and the media, and instead of aiding people out of stress, high cortisol, which is not good for the immune system, many people went into states of fear. Many weren't hearing advice about simple and practical ways to look after their immune system, health, mind, and soul, such as meditation, exercise, or eating healthily. The first lockdown began on the 23rd of March 2020, when Pluto was conjunct with both Mars and Jupiter in Capricorn, as well as Saturn, who had just entered Aquarius. Jupiter expanded these issues regarding Pluto's tests of power, and Mars brought some fiery action. Black Moon Lilith, Chiron, the wounded healer, and the Sun were all conjunct in Aries, which is the sign of I Am. Aries rules the head and the crown chakra or corona, which is our connection with God and our sacred I Am presence. Yet many did step into their power and retain their connection to their crown. Through these tests, we needed to examine these issues collectively and ascertain the paradigm of our level of consciousness. Saturn and Pluto were able to test and teach us how to find harmony with the divine so that we can use power responsibly, regain trust, and create systems which are empowering and in alignment with Mother Earth. May we honour the sovereignty and crown chakra of all people of all lands. May the lost feminine wisdom be reunited with masculine insight, and may balance be restored on our beautiful planet.